Hello everyone and welcome to another E3 video, where this time it's Sony that's up to the task. And I'm already going to say that I was pleasantly sort of surprised with Sony. Now they got to basically shooting the barrels from the start, and they didn't really let the pace really drop. They seem to be very much in the way of they keep just dropping the bombs of just insane announcements. Now they started off with a very game that I like, I've put a lot of hours into and played in the past. Of course, he started with a lovely orchestra. It was kind of a bit different. He had an orchestra and it wasn't the same music, but everybody was wondering, where's this kid, what's going on and everything and all that. What is actually going on in this background and everything? And it turns out it was God of War, which looked absolutely insane. And we have seen like games that have been looking really, really damn good from Sony's sort of first-party developers really do own up to their graphics, and this God of War game looks amazing. Now it does seem that Kratos is a little bit older. Now some people are putting it across as I would say like a reboot. I don't think it's a reboot. I think it's like a soft reboot, because Kratos is a lot older, and I believe that, I'm hoping that is his son and so on and so forth. But the world looks absolutely spectacular, like truly beautiful world, and character design is astonishingly good. Obviously, please bear in mind that, it could be vertical slices, whatever, but I mean, the actual acting was amazing, the actual animation quality was amazing, and I believe it's still Santa Monica. I don't think I saw that at any point, but I believe it's still Santa Monica that are doing it, and they will have access to tools and ways to make this thing look absolutely insane. Now the actual sort of quality, like it's sort of like at first, because obviously I watched this one after For Honor from Ubisoft. It was kind of almost reminiscent of that. Some people were like, oh, it's a bit Viking in him, but it's God of War. He can fight however he sees fit. And he's just like, you're probably seeing some of this stuff in the background, and it's absolutely out of this world, like how good the actual combat quality is, and how good everything is playing and looking. I mean, you've got the subtle effects in the background, the actual lighting effects are insane, even the grass are awesome. And then he uses the Force to grab his axe, why the hell not? And I don't know, like this was a big surprise. Like I would say a big surprise. I know some people are saying there's going to be another God of War eventually. It just like never showed, and it like some people were also like they didn't want one because obviously like it's like move on to something else. But something about it is like you needed a mythical game, something like this, something like to come up on PS4 to show really like let it kind of get out the cat of the bag, and almost like, because obviously PS3 was only able to do so much, whereas like this you're able to see it do a lot more, and there's a lot more possible. And just looked insanely cool, and just like absolutely nuts with the combat is completely insane. The look of the game was completely insane, and I cannot wait for this. And I know it's a PS4 game, because some of you guys were, and you never know, in the future there might be PS4 games come to the channel if I get the hardware and that sort of, because I'd rather do it that way than use Sony's recording thing, because it's not that great. The actual on the recorders on both consoles, I don't find that great for actually achieving what you want to do. And I don't have like a HD 60 or anything like that. I'd love to get one from Elgato, but maybe in the future at some point. But it looked really out of this world, like how they started, and like Sony came out with this and it did not stop. Like it seriously was like one game after another, with some chatting, some nice things, some big surprises that we'll get to in the video. You've probably already watched this, but I mean, I was really pleasantly surprised at how good God of War looked, and how good the animation quality visually was, everything. And it was also intriguing because it was like, I wasn't used to, because like the actual orchestra were the ones playing the music, because they're the ones that are doing the sort of soundtrack for, like, he did mention the name and I can't quite remember off the top of my head right now, but they did say the orchestra that's there was the ones that are actually doing the God of War soundtrack. And it just looks absolutely incredible, and I can't wait to actually get a hold of it. And it looks to be that it's a decent amount along, which is never a bad thing. But it's going to be nuts. And if you like your God of War, you're going to like this. And if you don't, God of War is basically, is a fighter like this. And there is, like, usually, I don't know how much is in it, because obviously it didn't show very much platforming. Usually God of War has a lot of kind of platforming in that sense, but I don't know how much is actually in this one, because it didn't really get to that. But it's showing off the world. It's sort of nearer the end was like insane of how much like incredible distance and how big the world seems to actually be for you. So there seems to be going to be a lot of exploration you can possibly do. And I'm just really happy with how the game looks. And it also happens to be, and I'm hoping I'm showing this in the background, there's a bloody dragon! Hopefully going to be a boss fight or something like that. And then they actually brought forward, like, some people were thinking it was like Last of Us 2 or something, when it was just like, no, because Naughty Dog's not there. Naughty Dog wouldn't just get little fanfare. And it's not to say this game isn't good, because they showed it off a little bit, and then they kind of actually came back to it later on, was Days Gone. And it looks to be a post-apocalyptic, lots of zombies and everything and all that, but it looks to be really good, because it looked really good. And the characters seem to be kind of cool. It seems to be your character suffered a bit of loss and everything, but he's kind of, you know, on the run. He's like a mercenary himself and everything, but in a kind of post-apocalyptic world where everything's falling apart, and there's a bit of bazillion zombies going around. And the thing is that the character's looking for someone, and then suddenly there's a bazillion zombies, and it seemed to be very sort of World War Z animation, the way they were moving around, just as like one ocean of death. Quite freaky, quite scary, but I'm looking forward to seeing a bit more of that. Some people were saying, like, Sony didn't announce like very, like, just, you know, coming soon, nor they said like next year and everything, because there's quite some big games coming out this year already, and you know they went into straight off the bat, right after Days Gone sort of thing. They showed The Last Guardian, you know, dancing around and everything and all that, which was never a bad thing. Last Guardian dancing around, you know, the big creature, you know, some snippets of gameplay. It looks so good, and I cannot wait to have this. I really can't. It's been a long time coming. And then it came up, big splash screen. It's coming this year. And you literally heard the crowd erupt, and it was so good, and I can't wait, and I was really glad to see that. You know, there's a proper positive point there. You know, Last Guardian has been one of those games that should have been out long ago, but it's finally coming out, and looks insane, and it's coming out in October. October seemed to be filling up quite fast from across all press conferences and everything. It was like, I'm just wondering if there's going to be some slips here and there just to kind of even out the games and much, but then obviously that's going to almost a prime month just before like going straight into the Christmas period where people will be wanting games and everything. But The Last Guardian, everybody was happy. I am very happy. I'm extremely happy with that, and I cannot wait to get my hands on it, and it's gonna be amazing. So of course October 25th is the date for that. Now Sony didn't leave much time to catch a breather, like, at all. They went straight into, and this was announced last year, was Horizon Zero Dawn. What you got to see though was a lot of good combat going on, and how the sort of crafting system goes on, and like Horizon Zero Dawn looks insanely good, and by the guys that do Killzone, and they're doing a bit something different, which is always quite good to see. Killzone is good, but I mean this looks insane. And if you're wondering what Horizon Zero Dawn, it's like there's lots of robotic dinosaurs and a lot of the wildlife is kind of roboticized in a way. It does seem, but the world is. Like, this game is like properly beautiful. Like, it is insanely gorgeous. Like, how good it really looks. And animation again, it's another first party studio that's doing this for Sony. So they tend to have just slightly better looking games than you find the third party ones. But you see a bit of action going on in the background. Like, you're taking down some like creatures or stuff going on. And then you get like a boss fight or a mini boss fight and everything, because you're trying to save some things. And it does seem like, and I didn't know this because I don't know if this happened before, but they did actually show like you can sort of tame creatures in a way. There's a way to kind of stop them, and it's almost like you're playing with a computer chip or something in their head, but you kind of somewhat tame them. But the actual like quality of the voice acting was pretty stellar. The look of the game was pretty stellar. I mean, the wind's blowing with all the trees and leaves and grass and everything. The world looks really alive. And you also got to see a good chunk of the combat and also the map size, which is, And I believe they did that almost subtly. They kind of zoomed out a bit, it's like, okay, and then they zoomed out more, and it's huge. The actual map world is massive. Like, really freaking massive, and I can't wait to see where that actually kind of goes. So obviously, hopefully you can see that in the background, just the sheer quality of the game that's going on. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys actually have PS4s or PlayStation gamers or anything like that. Like, I do have a PS4, and I can't wait to have this. Like, obviously it's showing icons, and I believe that the icons in the background are meant to be areas where creatures of certain things are existing, or maybe herds or stuff like that, because it seems to be you do need to actually get some sort of components for stuff to actually obviously make your arrows and everything, because there's not like guns per se, but yeah, you probably might see in the background, hopefully, her sort of dragging down one of these sort of broadside guys here, and then she actually tames it. She sort of opens its head though, and it's just like, yep, tame, there we go, there, doink doink, and then you suddenly have a mount. So that was kind of a first thing, because obviously having a mount, you know, how the travel system kind of works in it. Even the animation quality of this though it's so good. Like, it works the way you would expect it to. Like, the human mind, it doesn't feel disjointed in any way. And then you come out and look at the world, and it's actually breathtaking, like how insanely amazing this looks. I mean, you've probably seen some big dinosaurs in the background there, or what they would say, because it is meant to be like robotic dinosaurs in a way. But I mean, the developers are really pushing this game to be something that's like, it's going to be amazing to play. Obviously we don't know the length of the game, but there does seem to be a hefty lot that you can actually do. It's very open world, definitely an open world game, which is never a bad thing, but it looks so good, and I really can't wait to get my hands on it. Like, I'll probably play this to death because it's so amazing. And you know, like, seeing the mounts, the tameable things and everything, there was a lot in it, like that sort of gameplay to show you, and like how you can actually like identify creatures and everything, which is never a bad thing. She just pins that one down, or pins down some of the creatures and everything. So there's ways that you have like things against the creatures, but I'm also wondering, like, the boss is apparently like susceptible to fire and destroying like everything. But also, what happens when you run out of fire arrows? Like, is there a way that you can kind of get around that, or not? I'm just wondering. That is one thing that wasn't really discussed, and I would like to know that one. That is one thing that would probably be good. But the game looks amazing. Like, hopefully you've seen a good chunk in the background, and we'll see how that goes. Now, of course, they did then head into a little bit of VR stuff, because obviously that's probably one thing they're going to push. And I mean, the game did look. What they did was the VR stuff actually, like, they announced the price, or like the overall price and everything, which is a fairly good price compared to the other VR headsets. But obviously that's only going to work with PS4. But I believe that's kind of situated in a good place, because then they're below the other ones. You know, obviously you do need a console to run it, but then VR on a PC, you need a kind of pretty powerful PC in a sense, or at least ones with some fancy doodads attached, and then you can run. And the headsets, like the Vive, is like £700 and everything, so it's kind of an expensive little thing. They did quickly show us some Detroit Become Human, which seems to be like a web of like decisions you can make and how much of an impact it can have on your overall story. You can build your own story, which was kind of nuts. Like, in the background, it looked really well. You probably can see in the background, hopefully, a little bit of the gameplay. It seems to be like android and humans kind of working together in some form or whatever, but I would like to see a little bit more on this, and hopefully see where it kind of goes to. Of course, like I did mention VR, they brought out a game that you probably see in the background right now. It's kind of horror-ish. VR tends to like its horror games. Gives me the chills. Watching this was insane. Like, it looked, I wouldn't say it looked horrifying, like the way the world was, like, you know, nitty gritty, dark and everything, and it was just like, wow. Graphically looked insane. And then you found out it was the new Resident Evil. Now, they do say you can play the Resident Evil in VR or not VR, because obviously not everybody's going to have a headset when this comes out. But this in VR would be actual terrifying, considering it's Resident Evil, and they seem to be going, as people saying, they actually seem to be going back to like the sort of mansion style, where it was very much, oh, what would you call it? Very horror style, not actiony, not overly actiony as Resident Evil's went better. So it seems to be they're kind of returning to the roots a bit more, which I think will do the franchise a hell of a lot better. And having the VR thing, like, people were just like, what is this? Like, you know, this is a horror game, but it's just, I get chills watching this, and still do, and it's frightening, and it's the way it should be. Hopefully good things will come from this from the VR side, and just like the quality of games that you can actually play, because they did actually go into, they showed this off, and they showed like Final Fantasy 15, is it 15? 16? It's 15. Had a VR thing in it, which I almost see that felt like a little bit of a gimmick add-on. I'm not entirely sure, but they have that in, and it's just, and they also had they showed off an X-Wing mission that you can do, which I know a lot of Star Wars fans are probably going to love to try and get in on that. And they also, well, I don't know if they did have it, but they also had a date for Final Fantasy 15, which was the 30th of September. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to hold, but the Final Fantasy 15 does seem quite far along. Though they did go into a game after this, and I was sitting here going, this looks really, really good. I felt ashamed by the time I got to the end of the trailer, though. I was like, it seemed really, 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 really damn good. They had some other VR games, though, before we go into that. Like, one was a giant spider, which is just nope. Just nope. Nope, I'm not having that. But the world looks incredible from what you can do. So, hoping some of the games, though, that they end up introducing to VR are more than glorified demos, because that seems to be what it is. You play for like 20 minutes and then it's like that, but you're paying like a premium price. But I can understand because everything's kind of new, but they need something to kind of push it along a little bit. Now, what they did do, and I was kind of wondering what is going on with all this, and it was like, okay, as you can see, it's going in the background. This looks pretty cool. This looks really cool. Space battles and big warships, and you know, grappling hooks through space and smacking guys in the face, and really impressive guns, and it looked a ton of fun. And then I was just like, and then it came up that that was actually Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which really surprised me, incredibly surprised me, because I mean, I don't like Call of Duty, and I just was really surprised at the way that came across. I didn't even realize that's what it kind of looked like, and it does seem that they've ramped up a little bit. Whether or not that judgment completely remains to be there in case it not, because you never know, it is Call of Duty after all. But it does look really, really freaking good. Of course, they showed off a ton of like Final Fantasy stuff in the background as well. A lot of sort of gameplay segments going on. Not like a demo, like I know they showed in the Microsoft press conference. They showed an actual sort of demo of it. But they kind of showed just a lot of gameplay and everything, just kind of snapshots here and there. And then they announced, I don't know if it was an announcement of the date or not, but there was a date set there. Which, who knows. But like, I'm kind of slightly ashamed because the Call of Duty did actually intrigue me. And I'm interested to see where it goes. Now, we did get to another, like, I'm pretty sure the big announcements came fast and fast. Like, it never stopped. I mean, after Final Fantasy and a few others and everything, we went straight into, and I was sitting going, what is this? What is this? And it seems to be some sort of a partnership with Sony. And now, if you haven't seen this, it's a pretty big deal. Is it announced Crash Bandicoot? He actually, like, he walked on the shadow of Crash Bandicoot as well, and I'm like, no, you're just teasing now. You're not actually going to do that. And they're remastering from the ground up Crash 1, 2, and 3 to come to the PS4. Obviously, they're bringing out Crash Bandicoot, an actual Crash Bandicoot Skylander to join in the Skylanders, because it was bound to happen and everything. But it seems to be a partnership with Sony and Activision. They've managed to come to terms with each other, and they're actually going to be releasing Crash 1, 2, and 3 in partnership with each other. And I cannot wait for that. I loved Crash in the first one. That is insanely cool. And I love, like, some people probably, if you're younger to the channel, are probably wondering who the hell Crash Bandicoot really is. Go play Crash Bandicoot, trust me. You will love Crash Bandicoot. It was Naughty Dog's sort of, like, game that put them on the map and everything. Was Jason Rubin kind of was, it was, like, there at the studio as well. And, like, the Crash Bandicoot put Naughty Dog basically on the map. And allowed them to be what they are today and grow to what they are today. and it was just awesome. And I really can't wait for Crash Bandicoot 3, 1, 2, and 3. Hopefully you guys will like that, because you never know what may happen in the future. And I mean, what are your thoughts on this? Because obviously, any end of press conference, I would like to know your thoughts. What were your moments if you have managed to watch it? Crash Bandicoot was definitely one of mine. Of course, it didn't stop there. It was kind of insane. Obviously, this is almost like a review, thoughts and feelings and everything like that. It didn't really stop there. They went straight into some other games and everything, and then they brought out a big stream of light. They brought out Kojima. And it felt like very much a big middle finger to Konami, and to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised. There was some very horrifying facts that came out around all that. But Kojima showed off a very minor trailer, and very sort of Kojima style of what the hell is going on type thing. I think it was Deadly Stranding, and they have some rather stellar actor in it, as you guys might know, but it was rather insane how they brought him out, and I'm not really surprised how they brought him out the way they did, because let's be honest, it's Kojima, who is probably one of the world's greatest developer mind, even though he can be pretty damn wacky with how he does things. But basically his game's going to be coming to PlayStation, and it looked like graphically, because he was saying this is all running sort of in game, looked absolutely nuts. I just wish I kind of knew a bit more about it. That's the only thing. There's not that much detail on it. It's very sort of here and there. This is it's very Kojima type style though, which is to be expected. I mean, we couldn't really expect anything less. It is him himself. I will say he was looking a ton healthier. This is something I actually tweeted about, is he looked a hell of a lot healthier, a lot more awake, a lot more himself than he used to be, apart from the whole Konami thing that was going on. And I'm really glad to kind of see him back, and doing something different. I mean, I heard the news that Metal Gear's getting turned into one of those type of Poinco or whatever games, and I was like, oh dear. But to see him do this was rather insane and rather cool as well, which I cannot wait to see where that actually goes and what it's actually to do with, because it looks impressively graphically, but I don't know what the hell the story really means or anything like that. But we'll soon see. Of course, they did actually announce a Spider-Man game by Insomniac. Now, Insomniac are best known to me for Ratchet & Clank and that, but they did announce they're doing a Spider-Man game in partnership with sort of Marvel. But then again, like, Sony sort of basically owns the rights to Spider-Man, and having a sort of, Insomniac's not really a first-party developer. They're sort of a second-party, as some people like to call them, because they develop their own ones, but they develop like a lot of primary ones for Sony. Now, they did actually have Spider-Man, and it looked like animation quality and everything was brilliant, and I was a bit like, I would quite like them to do something other than sort of like that. But then again, a lot of people cheered, and it did seem to hit off pretty darn well. But apart from that, they did return to Days Gone that I've already discussed, and they showed a ton of that to kind of round off the evening. And overall, Sony's press conference impressed me some. I was kind of sitting going, right, okay, so they've announced some stuff, and I know some stuff is coming, but there's not going to be much. I was so very wrong. They showed off a ton of gameplay for everything. They kept coming out with all the hits for everything. It wasn't like too much waffle anywhere. They just kept going game after game after game, letting the games do their talking for them. There was a lot of huge announcements, like the God of War game you had there. You had The Last Guardians coming out this year. You had PlayStation VR when it's out. You had how many consoles it sold, which was 40 million, which is stupidly insane. You also had Crash Bandicoot, which I cannot wait for. You had Kojima show up with his new game, and just there was a lot in it, and there's a lot coming for PlayStation fans and console gamers anyway, gamers in general. Anyway guys, this has been the E3 conference for PlayStation, Sony, whatever you wish to call it. I can't wait to see some of these games and get my hands on them, and thank you very much for watching these, because I believe this might be the last one, first one, whatever one you're watching. Shall see you all next time.